House of the Dragon, Season 3, Episode 4. This episode, we're spending quite a bit of time down in Tumblestone with Lord Ormond Hightower and the real Prince Darren, who has been Ormond's squire all along. The Lord and Lady of Tumblestone meet with Ormond, not happy with him taking over their personal quarters and making sure he's also holding his men accountable in their city. He makes a naked display of intimidation, reminding them that he could always execute them for declaring for Rhaenyra, but he will keep his men in line. We're getting a lot of insight into Ormond's character here, and they're doing a pretty good job of establishing his villain arc. He does honor his word, and he punishes one of his soldiers for attempting to sexually assault Hugh Hammer's wife, and for assaulting her brother and breaking the arm of his wife. So he has the man gelded. In a later scene, he receives a letter from his cousin at Harrenhal that their army, as well as Aemon and Vhagar, will not be showing up and not marching to Tumblestone to relieve him. And this is where all his plans go to shit. Taking the town and lying to Daemon was all based around thinking Vhagar was coming in for support. Now he realizes he's on his own. Darren was nice enough to warn the serving boy to leave before Ormond decided to explode into a tantrum, chopping the table with his big sword. We get to see Darren has a kind nature to him, and clearly he's aware of his uncle's violent mood swings. Ormond decides his best course of action is to crown Darren as the new king randomly, and makes him execute Hugh's brother-in-law Leo from earlier for striking one of the soldiers. Darren seems traumatized by this, and his dragon Tessarion also has no love for his uncle. Ormond, like the High Septon, despises the dragons, but that doesn't mean he won't use them to his advantage when they're needed. Daemon pays the thorny Lady of the Vale a visit to collect gold from her for lack of swords that she didn't provide. She agrees, but not before throwing some subtle insults at Daemon. Caraxes is really restless and he's acting weird. Daemon loads gold onto his back, and because he's moving around, he almost falls off. He's yelling at him, but he's not listening. The temperamental dragon ignores him completely and flies to a large cave. Daemon finds his daughter Rhaena's been living in the cave with Sheepstealer, and she's looking very homeless at this point. She's cut off most of her hair. This is a more book-accurate portrayal of how Nettles is described, which storyline she took over in the show. I really like this scene. This is the first time you see Daemon actually being a father first and trying to protect his daughter. But since he was never there for her as a child, she just defiantly flies off on Sheepstealer, leaving him in the dust. Daemon notices a sheep herder down below and decides to cover his daughter's tracks for her. Back in King's Landing, Rhaenyra is trying to get her small council in order, adding Lord Manderley as Master of Coin, and Alan takes the place of his father Corlys since he abandoned his position to go hunt pirates. She's also only trusting Maester Orwell as far as she can throw him. So far, he seems to be loyal to her, and apparently isn't against killing a High Septon, which he suggests. Rhaenyra is pretty shocked about this in a good way, but decides not to go that course of action. Daemon interrupts a small council meeting, slamming bags of gold down on the table, and the burnt head of a man he claims was riding Sheepstealer, and is responsible for Jace's death. Of course, this is just Daemon protecting his daughter we saw earlier. This is the poor sheep herder from the Vale. We'll see how long this takes to fall apart for Daemon. Meanwhile, Helena has been hiding a baby bump from everyone, including her mother Alicent. Most people are leaning towards Aemon as the daddy, since he's always had an affection towards her when they were young, and the timeline seems to add up from when Aegon got burnt. Aegon and Lord Larys finally reach Rook's Rest, and Aegon gets to see his dragon Sunfire. Now, I'm pretty sure they've killed this dragon. They've hinted that might be still alive because he took one of Sunfire's scales. The only thing that has me not convinced is because they show Melee's body, and it's very decomposed, where Sunfire's doesn't look decomposed. Now, obviously in the book, this dragon is still alive, so I don't know what they're going to be doing if they do actually kill Sunfire. We'll have to see how that plays out. And Kristen and Gwaine have finally made it to Harrenhal, just to find it empty, besides Alice Rivers, who's the only one in the castle. She informs them that Aemon and Vhagar are gone, and Rhaenyra has taken King's Landing and crowned herself queen. Cole decides to go out in a blaze of glory since his world is crumbling all around him, and decides to wage guerrilla warfare on the Riverlord's armies. And this Sunday's episode is most likely going to be the Battle of Tumblestone. We're going to get dragons, we're going to get some blood, and we're going to get a whole big battle. Can't wait. See you then.